And welcome back to Wandering Through Wayne's World. You know, we talk about law, and we talk about all kinds of law. And with me, I'm blessed to have Charles Jamieson. How are you?
Glad to be here.
And you are... No, I'm glad to be at your office. This is very rare for me that I come out to someone else's office. But you have beautiful views out there. It's a lovely property.
It's hard to have a bad view when you're on the 10th floor.
Yes, that is true.
Every view is a great view.
Let's talk about what you do. But before we even talk about what you do, you practice family law?
That's correct.
Okay. Let's go backwards.
All right.
So what made you decide that you wanted to be a lawyer?
The same thing that probably made me become a family law attorney, and that was being a lawyer is the only time I thought in the professions that I was looking at when I was getting out of college that I could sit down and be a counselor to people and help solve problems and actually advocate for them in an adversarial process if necessary to protect them from what I thought was inequities from government, inequities in their positions, or just guide them through, like I do now, a tough situation in their lives to give them a better and brighter future. Okay,
so now you go to law school.
Right.
How do you decide which avenue of law you want to take?
Well, when you get out first, and when I got out first, it wasn't here in Florida, it was in the state of Maine. And I really wanted to litigate, so I was in a small litigation firm, and I litigated pretty much everything that came in the door, whether it was bankruptcy, divorce, criminal law, whatever it was, and people had a problem, I did it. But it was through that process also that I learned that I really liked the family law issues, because it combined a whole myriad of problems people had, whether it was with kids, whether it was with property, real estate, whether it was with banking issues. It was trying to divide up equitably in some fashion the assets of the parties and their income in order for each side to have some kind of a brighter future.
Now, you, because we've met before,
right?
You talk, and I'm going to use these words, you kind of direct people to try to do collaborative divorce.
Correct.
What is collaborative divorce?
Well, collaborative divorce is a process where the parties meet in a series of meetings with attorneys and with two neutral professionals. And what they do is everyone signs an agreement, a participation agreement, in which they talk about and declare and affirm that they're going to settle their case, they're not going to go to litigation, and that they're going to be transparent. In other words, if you need information, whether it's financial or otherwise, you get it. And we have a neutral financial professional who looks and distills down the number issues, make sure the values are correct. And at the end of the process, what we do is we provide options to the parties and how to solve their problems. For instance, there won't be just one decision like a judge does on what alimony may be. There may be 6 or 7 different ways we might tackle the alimony issue. And there's not just one way to divide the marital property of the parties. Under the law, the judge only has the discretion primarily to do a 50-50 split. Here in collaborative, you can do whatever you want to that works for the parties. Same thing with timesharing. With timesharing, the judge has to quickly process the case and may only have some cookie-cutter solutions. In the collaborative process, we can think outside the box and craft a solution that works best for the needs of both sides and their children.
You know, I always talk about we have to learn to meet in the middle somewhere. You're not going to get it all your way, and you're not going to get it all your way. So let's find something that makes us both the least amount of unhappiness, okay? To avoid the fights, the angers, the nastiness. And if you have kids, collaborative, in my eyes, seems to be the greatest way to go.
Well, not only are you taking away the decision-making from a stranger, a judge, that's what we were talking about just a moment ago, but what you're doing is you're giving control to yourselves to formulate what's best for your children. It's really what we call a non-adversarial or low adversarial proceeding. And scientific studies have proven time and time again that high adversarial proceedings, where there's a lot of animosity between the parties, a lot of fighting, that's what really hurts kids. And if that animosity continues subsequent to the divorce, that's when children really start having problems later in their developmental stages and later on in their adult lives. So that's really great for kids.
Now, one of the things that sticks in my mind is you watch tabloid TV and you hear about these divorces from this person, that person, and you as an outsider, not you, kind of makes a decision, and their whole lives and everything are in front of everybody. Just let's say I'm an attorney. I don't want this out there in the open. How does collaborative divorce help that scenario?
Well, collaborative divorce is a private process. In other words, if you go and you're involved in a court proceeding, your whole life is going to be played out in the public. Divorce trials, divorce motions, divorce hearings, they're all public proceedings. In addition, all the documents that you file in a divorce case are available for the public to look at. So if you have to file a financial affidavit, that's going to be available for the public to troll through. So if you, let's say, you're a news celebrity, or let's say you're a well-known physician, or you're a well-known attorney, you certainly want to have your proceeding be private. This takes place in a series of private meetings in which only the attorneys, the parties, and the financial neutral and the facilitator are present.
Okay, so now we know that people go through a divorce, and no respect to the legal profession, but the one that wins is usually the attorney. In collaborative divorce, is it a shorter process, a less expensive process? We already know it's a better process because it's two people making decisions, not a stranger making a decision. Financially, is it better for the people?
Yes. It is, usually most cases are resolved within 4 to 6 meetings. Now compare that to the multiple motion hearings, depositions, letters being passed back and forth between attorneys that you have in a litigating case. So the studies that have been done, and there have been studies and information reviewed across the United States, indicate that the collaborative divorce can save parties anywhere from 60 to 40% of the cost of their divorce. So let's say your divorce cost you $60,000 or $50,000 or $100,000. That starts becoming substantial amounts of money. So again, it's by far less expensive, and it's usually far less amount of time takes to complete in a collaborative process.
Okay, so does the couple come to you? So there are two attorneys involved that do collaborative divorce? Is that usually how it comes out?
Generally what happens is someone comes and sees me and they say, I'm interested in a divorce. Well, I'm ethically required to lay out in front of them all of the options that they have, from trying to reconcile all the way up to litigation. Obviously, since collaborative divorce provides privacy, it's less expensive, it's less adversarial, it gives the parties control over their future. It's based on a discussion of needs rather than positional negotiating. These are all things for people who have some issues they have to resolve in their case, have some assets that they can't decide on how to divide. There may be an alimony dispute. This is the process that really works for them. It's less expensive and more private. If people come to me, they're coming to me in that context. It's in that context that I provide to them the information regarding collaborative divorce. And I talk to them, I say, do you think this is something your spouse may be interested in? And then I give them information to provide to their spouse, as well as a series of names of individuals who've been trained in the collaborative process who are attorneys.
Are there attorneys that favor collaborative divorce and then some that don't?
Well, collaborative divorce, all attorneys try to resolve their cases. We'll give them, that's what everyone will say, and that's true. But this is based on interest-based negotiation, which is a whole different process. Think about going to buy your car at a used car lot. Well, what's that? You're coming from one idea what it's worth, the salesman has another. And you're chewing on each other, and you come arbitrarily somewhere in between. Needs-based negotiation is a discussion about what do I need versus what do you need, and how do we create options, not an answer, but options that fit those needs. So it's a whole different paradigm. Also, it's a paradigm where I'm not looking to take advantage of the other side. Part of our pledge is if there's an error made, we're not going to capitalize on it. We're going to sort it out. So in an adversarial proceeding, I'm there to get the best deal for my client, no matter within the rules of ethics. So if some side bungles along the way and they don't pick it up, I'm not necessarily required to point it out. And if we're litigating, if someone is uncomfortable, I'm certainly going to try to exploit that for my client's advantage. Whereas in a collaborative process, we want to ever try to keep everyone comfortable.
We're getting a tough time, but I wanted to ask you this question. And you hear these stories, people getting divorced, and this one works under the table, okay, or tries to hide all the money that they can. How does collaborative divorce kind of fit into that? Because I know that in a regular divorce, they'll go hunt you down and like a bulldog and do all kinds of stuff.
Sure. That's where the transparency or full disclosure clause in the participatory contract comes into play. Both sides are saying we're going to be fully transparent, which means if there's a demand made for financial records or some other information, it's going to be provided. You have a neutral financial professional who's usually skilled in finding out or exploring where the gaps are in the information. And that person is also empowered to ask, I need this information, and get it from another party that they need. So that's taken care of in that process.
Okay. We live in a world where they say 50% of married couples are going to get divorced?
Yes, and probably a larger number of older people or second divorces are going to get divorced.
Okay. How do people contact you to find out more information?
Well, they can contact me at my website, which is www.cjamiesonlaw.com, or they can call us here at the office, which is 561-478-0312, and they can schedule a consultation.
You know, guys, the more that you can settle your disputes amicably without having another party that really has no interest, the better off you're always going to be. The happier both parties are going to be. Even though you might not get everything that you want, at least you have choices, and intelligent people will come to some terms to make it work. I want to thank you for coming on.
My pleasure, as always.
It was a pleasure to come and see your beautiful view.
And
Is this a new office for you?
This is our new office as of October. So we're very happy to be here.
Very nice. 10th floor. You can't beat it. Guys, if you want to find out more, give a call to the office. Everybody here is a pleasure to talk to. With that, we'll see you next time.